The great chamber of the Celestial Accord was unlike any place humanity had ever seen. A vast cathedral-like structure suspended in orbit around a dying red giant. Massive crystalline panels shimmered with cosmic light, and the air hummed faintly, with energy from 100 alien technologies converging in one place. Delegates from 1,000 starfaring civilizations filled the grand hall, their diverse forms, from gaseous beings to towering insectoids, casting long shadows beneath the vaulted ceilings. At the center, the human council stood alone, their faces grim beneath the weight of the accusations leveled against them. Years of rapid expansion, reckless terraforming, and unregulated genetic experiments had earned humanity a fearsome reputation. Other species whispered of humans as dangerous, unpredictable. The Celestial Accord, sworn to protect balance and harmony in the galaxy, had convened this unprecedented trial. Ambassador Celine Drake, Earth's lead representative, spoke passionately in the ancient galactic common tongue. She pleaded for understanding, reminding the Council that humanity had once been eager partners in the cosmic community. We sought only to survive, to grow, to explore, she said. We ask not for forgiveness, but for a chance to prove our worth. The chamber fell silent, waiting. The High Arbiter, an immense being of shifting light known only as Valar, raised its many appendages. Its voice was a deep resonance felt more than heard. The verdict is clear. Humanity's methods are a threat to the stability of the Accord. Effective immediately, Earth is exiled. A collective gasp rippled through the assembly. Exile meant severing all access to the galactic network. No stargates, no trade, no communication. Earth would become a cosmic pariah, trapped on the fringes of space with no hope of return. Celine's heart sank, but she stood tall. You mistake exile for punishment, she said fiercely. It is a sentence to death. We will endure, as we always have. Outside the chamber, the news shattered the world. Cities plunged into darkness as orbital gateways shut down. Families torn between hope and despair watched helplessly as humanity's reach was forcibly retracted. The once proud explorers of the stars were now prisoners of their own planet. But in the shadows, all was not lost. Unbeknownst to the Accord, a hidden figure hurried through the labyrinthine halls of Earth's last spaceport. Lieutenant Aaron Kess, a former pilot turned covert operative, clutched a small data drive tightly. Its encrypted contents held the culmination of decades of secret research, plans for a propulsion system unlike any the galaxy had seen before. The Exile Drive. Aaron knew the stakes. If the Accord discovered this technology, humanity would be wiped out. But if they succeeded, they could break the chains of exile and carve a new path through the stars. The data drive was passed to a trusted network, scientists, engineers, rebels, who vanished into the underground. They called themselves the Legacy Initiative, a hidden force determined not to ask for permission, but to take the stars by their own will. Meanwhile, Celine returned to Earth, facing a planet fractured by fear and uncertainty. But as the Accord ships faded into the void, a spark ignited among humanity's finest minds. Exile was not the end. It was the beginning of a fight to build a legacy that no star could silence. The once thrumming spaceports of Earth had fallen silent, their vast docking bays empty save for echoes of a bygone era. Satellites blinked offline one by one as the Celestial Accord's interdiction spread like a death sentence over the globe. Global communications networks faltered. Off-world colonies that had flourished now drifted disconnected, their ties to Earth severed. Governments teetered on the edge of collapse, overwhelmed by panic and despair. Yet beneath the ruins of this shattered world, a different story was quietly unfolding. In hidden bunkers, abandoned research stations, and forgotten subways beneath, the ruined cities, pockets of humanity's brightest minds gathered. Former astronauts, quantum physicists, engineers, and codebreakers converged in secrecy. Their mission was clear but daunting: to defy the exile, to rebuild the future with tools the Accord could neither detect nor deny. At the heart of this covert effort was a propulsion concept so radical it bordered on heresy: the Exiled drive. Unlike the wormhole generators and quantum gates the Accord regulated, the Exiled drive aimed to fold space itself in ways unseen before, creating shortcuts through dimensions that defied current physics. It was a gamble born of desperation, and its success or failure would determine humanity's fate. Dr. Lian Zheng, a brilliant theoretical physicist with a reputation for bending impossible ideas into reality, led the charge. In a concealed laboratory, beneath the ruins of what was once Shanghai, she coordinated the construction of the first prototype. Her eyes never left the glowing schematics projected in midair, a swirling dance of equations, algorithms, and exotic matter simulations. Around her, a mosaic of humanity worked tirelessly. Former military specialists safeguarded the perimeter. Hackers fought constant cyber attacks from unknown enemies. Engineers soldered components scavenged from scrapped spacecraft. Everyone knew the risk. Discovery by the Accord's agents would mean obliteration. Tensions ran high as factions within the initiative debated priorities. Some wanted to use the new technology to mount a rebellion, to strike back at the Accord. Others, like Dr. Zheng, insisted on a quieter path, a journey into the unknown where humanity could grow without shackles or judgment. "The galaxy thinks it's exiling us to die," Dr. Zheng said during one late-night briefing. "But what they don't know is we're building the key to freedom, right here beneath their noses." The stakes became painfully real when the Exile drive's first test nearly ended in catastrophe. In the heart of the underground lab, the prototype reactor surged to life. Power levels climbed, exotic fields shimmered, and the space-time fabric around the test chamber warped. Suddenly, the containment fields faltered. Alarms blared as the laboratory shook violently. Emergency protocols triggered an evacuation. Outside, residents felt tremors but saw no damage, only a faint, unnatural ripple in the night sky. The test had strained the thin veil between dimensions, yet even in disaster, hope bloomed. The drive had worked, if barely. Word of the success spread through the secret channels, fueling a fragile optimism. Humanity's survival no longer hinged on the Accord's mercy, but on their own ingenuity and daring. Meanwhile, beyond Earth's atmosphere, the Celestial Accord remained vigilant. Unknown to the humans below, shadowy agents monitored anomalies near Earth, preparing to intervene if the exiles grew too bold. The galaxy's most ancient powers were ready to crush any sign of rebellion. But in the hearts of those underground, a new creed had formed. Exile was a sentence, yes, but one they would not accept silently. They would rise, not as supplicants, but as architects of their destiny. Beneath the frozen crust of Europa, Jupiter's smallest moon, a secret was taking shape, one that could change humanity's fate forever. In the vast network of tunnels carved out over decades, powered by geothermal vents and shielded from prying eyes by layers of ice and rock, lay the hidden forge, a colossal underground shipyard unlike anything ever built on Earth. Here, far from the watchful eyes of the Celestial Accord, humanity's finest engineers and builders labored tirelessly. The walls reverberated with the clang of metal, the hiss of welding torches, and the hum of anti-gravity systems. The centerpiece of this monumental effort was the Dauntless, a starship designed around the revolutionary Exile drive, capable of traversing space by bending dimensions in ways no one had dared before. Leading the project was Captain Aaron Kess, once a pilot and now the de facto commander of this hidden fleet. Aaron had narrowly escaped Earth's collapse with the data drive containing the Exile drive schematics. He carried the weight of hope for all humanity on his shoulders, and the scars of battles fought in the shadows. But the hidden forge was more than a workshop. It was a fortress. The Celestial Accord's agents, relentless and ruthless, had begun sending covert operatives to track down and eliminate any threats to their order. Sabotage attempts had already crippled parts of the facility, equipment mysteriously failing, vital shipments delayed or stolen, and a spy network leaking details to enemy forces. Inside the shipyard's command center, Aaron pored over reports of the latest incident, A critical power conduit had been severed, nearly causing a reactor meltdown. The timing was too precise to be coincidence. "Someone's inside our walls," whispered Dr. Lianzheng, now chief scientist on the Dauntless. "They know what we're building." Tensions soared as suspicion and paranoia took root. Every crew member was screened again. Patrols doubled. Yet the saboteur remained elusive. Amid the mounting pressure, construction pressed forward. The Dauntless was nearly ready for launch, a sleek leviathan of dark alloys and shimmering energy fields. Its hull was embedded with adaptive nanomaterials, capable of repairing themselves mid-flight, and lined with shielding tech salvaged from ancient ruins discovered in the distant galaxies. One night, during a crucial systems test, alarms screamed through the complex. The Exiled drive's core surged beyond expected parameters, flooding the control room with a ghostly blue glow. Emergency protocols kicked in, and engineers scrambled to stabilize the reactor. Aaron's voice crackled over the comms. "All hands. Brace for impact, possible sabotage, evacuate non-essential personnel immediately." Panic erupted, but amid the chaos, Aaron and his team uncovered a chilling truth. The saboteur was one of their own, a high-ranking officer secretly aligned with the Accord's agents. Before they could act, the traitor attempted to flee through a hidden escape tunnel. A pulse rifle blast echoed in the corridors as Aaron gave chase. The confrontation was brutal but brief. The traitor was captured, confessing that the Accord had placed sleeper agents throughout the hidden forge to ensure humanity's exile remained permanent. With the traitor detained, the crew united with renewed determination. Aaron addressed them.
"They want us to fear them, to break us from within. But here, beneath the ice, we build more than a ship. We build our future." Weeks later, with repairs completed and security tightened, the Dauntless powered up for its maiden voyage.
The Exile drive hummed to life, shimmering fields bending the very fabric of space around the ship. As Europa's icy surface passed beneath them, the crew knew this was no longer just a ship. It was humanity's spear point into the unknown. The hidden forge had done its job. Now the stars awaited. The launch of the Dauntless was silent but monumental. No fanfare greeted its departure from beneath Europa's ice, only the shimmering fold of space as the Exile drive activated, bending dimensions with a grace and power that defied the laws once thought immutable. When the ship emerged from the fold, it was no longer in familiar territory. The void around them was darker, filled with the faint glow of distant dwarf stars and the cold silence of uncharted space. The galactic maps of the Celestial Accord contained no record of this region. It was a wilderness beyond known borders, untouched and unknown. Captain Aaron Kess stood on the bridge, eyes scanning the view screens as the ship's sensors probed the darkness. The crew shared a collective breath of awe and apprehension. For the first time in generations, humanity was free, not just exiled, but truly unbound. Their mission was twofold: explore this new realm and gather knowledge to ensure humanity's survival and growth. Yet it quickly became clear that this galaxy held secrets darker than the exile they'd left behind. Weeks into their survey, the Dauntless detected an anomaly, a massive structure buried within the debris field of a shattered star system. Its architecture was unlike anything human or Accordian. Colossal curved towers of black crystalline material rose from the rubble, humming faintly with residual energy. The crew theorized it was a relic from a civilization long dead, swallowed by time and war. Dr. Lianzheng led the initial probe teams into the ruins, her excitement tempered by caution. The deeper they ventured, the more signs they found of a star-spanning culture. Massive data archives encoded in crystalline matrices, automated defense systems still operational, and cryptic symbols carved into walls that seemed to shift when observed from different angles. One evening, as the data streamed back to the Dauntless, a chilling event shook the crew. A sudden burst of energy detonated within the ruins, sending a shockwave that rocked the ship. It was a trap, triggered by their intrusion. A swarm of dormant defense drones, long inactive, flared to life and targeted the ship. The crew scrambled, activating the ship's adaptive shields and defensive arrays. The battle was intense but brief. Human ingenuity and the ship's advanced tech prevailed. Yet the attack raised an urgent question. Who had built these ruins and why had their defenses been left active? Further investigation revealed encrypted records hinting at a catastrophic event, the fall of an ancient race called the Vikar. According to fragmented data, the Vikar had once challenged the celestial accord itself before vanishing in a mysterious collapse. The ruins were their final refuge, and their technology, a warning and a treasure. The more humanity uncovered, the more the crew realized that the celestial accord was not the eternal order it claimed to be. It was built on the ashes of something greater, something lost to hubris and war. Captain Kess convened the bridge crew. "We came here as exiles," he said, "but this place holds the key to a past the accord once forgotten. If we can unlock it, we might not only survive, we might reclaim our place among the stars." But the shadow of the accord was never far behind. Sensors picked up faint signals, stealth vessels lurking beyond sensor range, monitoring the Dauntless's every move. Humanity's journey was no longer just about discovery. It was a race against an unseen enemy determined to erase their legacy before it could begin. The ruins of the Vikar had opened a doorway, not only to forgotten technology but to a history long buried beneath layers of time and silence. As the Dauntless lingered near the shattered star system, the crew meticulously decrypted fragments of the Vikar archives. The crystalline matrices emitted faint pulses of light, each flicker a message from a vanished civilization. Dr. Lian Zheng worked tirelessly, piecing together the Vikar's final days. What emerged was a haunting tale of a once mighty race, whose rise had shaken the foundations of the celestial accord itself. The Vikar were masters of post-biological evolution, beings who had transcended physical form and merged with their technology, existing as pure consciousness within vast data networks. But their ambition had drawn the ire of the Accord's founding species. A devastating war erupted, pitting ancient powers against the Vikar's relentless advance. The final battle devastated entire star systems and shattered alliances. In defeat, the Vikar withdrew, hiding their essence within these ruins, guardians of secrets that could unravel the balance of power. Then came a transmission, a ghostly signal pulsing through the void, encoded in an ancient language. The message was a warning and a prophecy. Captain Aaron Kess gathered the crew. The Vikar foresaw the Accord's decay and the rise of new forces. They called it the Shattering, a collapse that would reshape the galaxy and free those brave enough to seize the future. As the crew debated whether to trust this post-biological race, the Dauntless was contacted by an unexpected envoy. A vessel unlike any Accord ship materialized near their orbit. Its hull was smooth and ethereal, glowing softly with shifting colors. From it emerged the Vesari, descendants of the Vikar who had survived by shedding physical form and embracing digital eternity. The Vesari communicated through thought and vision, offering knowledge and an alliance. They revealed that the Accord's leaders were desperate to maintain control by suppressing advanced technology and alien discoveries, especially anything linked to the Vikar. Humanity's exile was part of a larger design to prevent a cosmic reckoning. But there was a catch. The Vesari proposed a gift, a power source capable of amplifying the exile drive beyond anything humanity had dreamed. This energy was drawn from a rare cosmic phenomenon known as the celestial pulse, a burst of raw energy released only once every millennium and dangerously unstable. Dr. Zheng and the engineering team faced a dire choice. Harnessing the celestial pulse could supercharge their technology, breaking exile for good, but it risked triggering a catastrophic event that might tear apart the very fabric of space-time. Power without wisdom is a path to destruction, Leon warned. If we miscalculate, we doom not only ourselves but countless worlds. Captain Kess weighed the risks. Humanity was at a crossroads: cling to cautious survival or leap boldly into the unknown, with all the dangers it entailed. Meanwhile, aboard the Dauntless, tensions simmered. Some crew members feared the Vesari's motives, suspecting the ancient beings sought to use humanity as pawns in their own cosmic struggle. Others argued that this alliance was humanity's best hope to reclaim their place among the stars. Outside, the Celestial Accord's shadow loomed larger. Their fleet had intensified patrols near the border, intercepting communications and hunting the Dauntless. The time for hesitation was shrinking. As the crew prepared to harness the celestial pulse, a quiet urgency took hold. The future of humanity, and perhaps the entire galaxy, hung on the edge of a knife. Would they embrace the legacy of the exiles and become the spark that ignited a new cosmic order? Or would the shadows of the past swallow them whole? The moment had arrived. The Dauntless drifted at the edge of a swirling nebula, the epicenter of the celestial pulse, a cosmic phenomenon of staggering power and beauty. The nebula blazed with vibrant colors, ribbons of plasma twisting through space like the breath of a dying star. The ship's sensors warned that the energy flux was volatile, capable of unraveling even the most advanced shielding. Captain Aaron Kess stood on the bridge, the weight of command heavy on his shoulders. Around him, the crew prepared the Exile drive's core for a critical amplification, guided by the ethereal Visari advisors. Their translucent forms hovered near the consoles, their thoughts syncing seamlessly with the ship's systems. Calibrations are complete, Dr. Lian Zheng reported, voice steady despite the tension. If this works, the Exile drive will access energy levels far beyond anything previously achieved, but the margin for error is almost non-existent. Aaron nodded. We've come too far to turn back now. With a final command, the Exile drive ignited, its core glowing with an intense blue-white light that pulsed in harmony with the nebula's energy. Space around the Dauntless seemed to warp and ripple as the ship prepared to fold into a new dimension. Riding the pulse like a cosmic wave, suddenly alarms blared. Sensors detected a surge in energy output far exceeding projections. The ship trembled violently as spatial distortions fractured the viewports. The nebula's plasma began to flare unpredictably, threatening to engulf the vessel. Containment fields are failing, cried an engineer. We risk being torn apart. Aaron's voice cut through the chaos. Initiate emergency shutdown. No, wait. We can stabilize by adjusting the pulse frequency. Leon, can you do it? With trembling hands, Leon manipulated the controls, redirecting the energy flow and fine-tuning the synchronization between the drive and the pulse. Slowly, the ship's core stabilized, the violent shaking easing into a steady hum. Then the Dauntless vanished. For a heartbeat, there was nothing but silence and darkness. When the stars returned, they were different. Foreign constellations glittered outside the ship's windows. The sensors confirmed. They had jumped nearly 2,000 light-years from their starting point, far beyond any known galactic charts. Status report, Aaron demanded. The crew scrambled. Systems were operational, hull integrity intact, and no immediate threats detected. The Exile drive had worked, but the jump had cost them precious time and energy reserves. Yet, the sense of achievement was tempered by unease. The coordinates placed them deep within a cluster of uncharted systems, known in old legends as the Veil of Shadows, a region whispered about in cosmic myths as the resting place of ancient, dangerous powers. Then came the transmission, a cryptic message encoded in a hybrid language, part Vicar, part human. Welcome, heirs of exile, it read. You have crossed the threshold, but beware. The legacy you seek comes with a price. The message hinted at a presence lurking nearby, an entity older than the Accord, watching humanity's every move. Aaron gathered the crew. We've stepped into the unknown, but we are not alone. This is bigger than exile or rebellion. It's a test of who we are and what we will become. Dr. Zheng, studying the message, added quietly, the Vicar weren't just victims, they left guardians, and perhaps traps to protect their legacy. As the Dauntless prepared to investigate the Veil of Shadows, the distant hum of an approaching fleet pierced the silence. An armada of Celestial Accord warships had tracked them to their new haven. The final confrontation was inevitable. The fate of humanity's legacy now balanced on a knife's edge, between the darkness of the Veil and the relentless pursuit of those who wished to see them extinguished. The alarm bells echoed through the Dauntless as the Celestial Accord's armada emerged from the black void, their warships slicing through the stars like predators closing in on prey. Captain Aaron Kess stood firm on the bridge, eyes sharp and steady despite the storm brewing around them. Years of exile, struggle, and hope had led to this pivotal moment, the culmination of humanity's defiance. The Accord's fleet was vast and heavily armed, a testament to their determination to snuff out the last flicker of rebellion. Their flagship, a towering dreadnought named the Sovereign's Wrath, bore the ancient emblems of the Accord's ruling council. Its weapon systems hummed ominously, locked on the Dauntless. "Prepare for battle stations," Aaron ordered, his voice cutting through the tension. "Shields up, weapons ready, we won't go quietly." Dr. Lian Zheng's fingers danced over the control panel as she recalibrated the Exile drive, now a weapon as much as a means of escape. The crystalline matrices from the Vicar ruins pulsed softly in the background, lending the ship a subtle, otherworldly energy. "Captain," Leon said, eyes narrowing, "if we can harness the Vicar technology integrated into our systems, we might create a spatial distortion strong enough to blind the Accord fleet temporarily." Aaron considered the risk. The maneuver could disrupt the Accord sensors and give them a chance to slip away, but failure would leave them defenseless. "Do it," he commanded. The crew worked with fierce precision. Energy flowed into the ship's outer hull as the Exile drive and Vicar technology synchronized. The stars around the Dauntless shimmered, bending light and warping spacetime itself. Then came the flash, a burst of energy so intense it blinded the enemy sensors and disrupted communications across the Accord fleet. The warships staggered. In formation, their targeting systems scrambled. "Now's our chance," Aaron said. "Engage the Exile drive jump." With a roar, the starship folded space, slipping into the veil of shadows, a place as enigmatic as its name suggested. The nebula's dense clouds of cosmic dust and energy rippled past, hiding the ship from pursuers. But the respite was brief. As they emerged, the ship's sensors detected a colossal structure looming in the shadows, the Citadel of Echoes. It was a massive construct partially buried in the asteroid field, pulsating with an eerie light. Ancient symbols flickered across its surface, the same cryptic glyphs found in the Vicar ruins. "We're not just exploring," Aaron muttered, awe and dread mixing in his voice. "We're stepping into the heart of something far older than we imagined." The Citadel's gates opened slowly, revealing a hollow core filled with swirling energy and ghostly whispers, echoes of the Vicar consciousness preserved in digital eternity. Within the Citadel, the crew discovered a revelation that shook them to their core, a hidden archive detailing the Accord's origins. The Accord, they learned, was founded not just to maintain peace but to suppress a cosmic force known as the Eclipse, an ancient entity capable of consuming entire galaxies. The Vicar's downfall, the exile of humanity, the relentless control of the Accord, all were tied to the fear of this darkness. Suddenly, the Citadel's systems activated defenses. A swarm of autonomous sentinels, crafted from living crystal, descended upon the intruders. Battle erupted within the ancient halls as the crew fought desperately to access the archive. Captain Kess led the charge, his resolve unyielding as they pushed deeper into the Citadel's mysteries. Amid the chaos, Leon decoded a chilling message hidden in the archives. The Eclipse was not merely a force but an intelligence, a predator waiting for the right moment to awaken. The Vicar had sacrificed themselves to imprison it, and the Accord's tyranny was a safeguard born of that sacrifice. Humanity's legacy was now intertwined with an ancient cosmic struggle, a burden and a destiny. As the sentinels closed in and the Citadel trembled, Aaron made a choice, to face the darkness or flee and risk losing the knowledge that could save or doom them all. "Prepare to transmit everything we've found," he ordered. "If we fall here, the galaxy must know the truth." The echoes of the past had become a battle for the future. The walls of the Citadel of Echoes trembled as the crystalline sentinels closed in, their faceted forms refracting the eerie glow of the ancient energy. Captain Aaron Kess stood firm amid the chaos, rallying the crew with unwavering resolve. The fate of humanity, and perhaps the galaxy itself, hinged on what they did in these final moments. "Keep transmitting the data," Aaron shouted over the roar of battle. "The Accord must not bury this truth." Dr. Lian Zheng, her hands steady despite exhaustion, managed the transmission, sending encrypted fragments of the Vicar archives and the hidden history of the eclipse out through a secure relay beacon. The signal was weak and vulnerable, but it carried hope, a beacon to allies yet unseen. As the last data packet sped into the void, the Citadel's core began to pulse violently. The eclipse's ancient prison was weakening, its cosmic hunger stirring. The Vicar's sacrifice had delayed it, but the centuries of neglect and war had taken their toll. The Sentinels surged forward, relentless and unforgiving. Aaron knew they had seconds, maybe less, to make a desperate choice. "Leon, can we use the Exiled drive to collapse this structure? Take it with us?" he asked, voice tense. "It's risky," she replied. "The energy release could destroy us, but it might buy time, delay the eclipse's awakening." Without hesitation, Aaron gave the order. The crew scrambled to reverse the Exile drive's core, channeling all available power into a controlled collapse. As energy surged, the Citadel's walls began to fracture. Shards of crystal exploded outward, illuminated by blinding light. The Dauntless shook violently, held together by the ship's advanced shielding and the crew's fierce will. In the final moments, the ancient entity's roar echoed, not a sound, but a reverberation through space-time, a warning and a promise. The eclipse had been slowed but not destroyed. Then, with a blinding flash, the Dauntless broke free from the collapsing ruins, propelled by the last surge of the Exile drive. The ship emerged into open space, battered but alive. Captain Kess looked out across the starfield, the void stretching infinitely ahead. The Celestial Accord's fleet had closed in again, but something had shifted. The hidden truths, the sacrifices, and the courage of his people had changed the game. A distant signal returned, an ancient Visari beacon activated by the data transmission, calling out across the galaxy. Allies responded, scattered human colonies, rogue factions, and even former Accord members disillusioned by lies and fear. Humanity's exile had ended, not with submission, but with a legacy forged in the crucible of adversity. Aaron addressed his crew, his voice resolute. "We were cast out by the stars, told we had no place here. But we found a path, a future built on truth, courage, and unity. The galaxy is vast and it's ours to shape." Dr. Lian Zheng smiled, exhaustion fading as hope blossomed. "The Vicar gave us a warning and a gift. It's up to us to carry their legacy forward." As the Dauntless charted a new course through the uncharted darkness, its hull glinting with the light of distant suns, humanity embraced its role not as exiles but as pioneers, builders of a new cosmic order. The stars were no longer a prison. They were a home,